Hey everyone, Joellen here, and welcome to Washington Watercolor. For today's lesson and demonstration, I thought we would paint this fall scene. I really love the backlight, the picket fence, and all the pumpkins, and I just thought this photo would make for such a beautiful watercolor. Okay, so I'll begin by taping off the perimeter of my paper. You don't have to do this. I just think at the very end, when I pull the tape off, it really frames the watercolor in just such a beautiful way. Try to be very precise with your lines. If you're somewhat sketchy, you may decide to draw this on a separate piece of paper and then transfer it over. So I am going to make a level line right where I feel the top of the pumpkins are lining up. And I feel that's level, but you could measure it if you want to be very precise. You really don't want to be off. And then I'll make another level line for where I see the top of the picket fence. And hopefully that's pretty good. When you're drawing, just make sure you keep your lines nice and light. Now, before I shape the pickets, I'll just kind of put in the spacing. So this would be a picket, and this would be a space, and then this would be the fence, and maybe I can just put a little mark so I don't get lost in that. And I'm really not going to count them all out. You can count them out if you'd like. All right, so now we're going to put some of our pumpkins in the foreground. And really, you don't have to be perfect with the shapes. I just feel maybe starting off in the front and just thinking a little bit about the pattern and the form. I'm not going to fuss too much. We just really want the indication, and I can tell you hands down 100% my drawing will not be perfect. Okay, so now I am going to mask out the fence, the top of the pumpkins, and maybe some corn stalks. Didn't draw those in, so hopefully I'll get those in. I always prefer to mask with a brush, and I would recommend that you don't use your finest or most expensive brush. This is a Princeton Neptune. It's a size 4, and I tend not to paint with this particular brush, so I'm comfortable using it. And this one is my other Princeton one. It's a script brush, and I love to mask with that and paint with it. So I'm going to treat my brush in a soapy solution, and I'll take off any excess water, dip into my masking, not overly dipped. And I am right-handed, so I will start on the left side. Okay, before we get going, let's just go over the colors that I have on my palette. And you may have different colors, and that is all great. So right here we have Windsor Lemon. Always getting dirty. It's hard to keep it clean. Do the best you can to keep it nice and clean. In front here, I have Cadmium Yellow. You may not be able to see, but back here I have Aurelian. I don't know why Aurelian's in there. I very rarely use it. This is quinacridone gold, or now I think it's called a transparent gold right here. Yellow ochre. This is Windsor Orange Red Shade. And anytime I say Windsor, it just means that it's a paint made by Winsor Newton. Right here is Windsor Red. We have quinacridone Magenta. We have Perylene Maroon. Here we have Windsor Violet. Here we have Ultramarine. Just make sure it's kind of a standard ultramarine or French ultramarine and not leaning towards green, or however, sometimes they have little funky tints to them. Here is Windsor Blue Green Shade, and I think it's the same makeup as Phthalo Blue. Over here, I have Prussian Blue. For landscape, sometimes I use it. I don't know if I'll use it today. Maybe, maybe not. I have to refill this one, but this is a cobalt turquoise. Really, really pretty. Love it. This is Permanent Sap Green. This is Perylene Green. Burnt Sienna. Right here is Sepia. And then here we have Neutral Tint. So that is it for my colors. So with clean water, let's just go through and wet the top 2/3 all the way down to the pumpkins. Now we could think about the sky being paper, so that's one option. That's not a bad option. We could think about it having a little bit of a tint to it, and that could be nice too. Let's come through with water. I'm going to pick up just a hint of lemon, of Windsor lemon. Sometimes I call it lemon yellow, if you catch me. And this yellow can definitely be a bully. Just a hint of my Windsor violet, maybe just a hint of my Windsor blue, and just add it into the sky. And again, you can probably barely see it. I have a little bit of something there. Perfect. Okay. I feel like that looks nice. Okay, now I really want to think about some of the background going on, and then maybe some of the corn stalks. So let's get through picking up. I'm gonna grab a little bit heavier Windsor. Let's just see what happens. I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of my violet. That's not a bad color. It's kind of pretty. A little bit more blue to it. And just kind of in between where we see the hills or whatever, kind of in the background area, we'll just add just a little bit. And it's just a suggestion, so I want to keep everything just nice and soft, kind of carry it through. Go and grab a little bit of burnt sienna with some yellow. Mix it in. And whatever you do, I know will be really nice and lovely, so you don't have to do exactly what I do. And I'm just using the side of my brush just to melt some of these things together. Okay, so we have this nice suggestion. Okay, not bad. I'm not sure if I'm sold 100% on the color that I have here. Maybe we'll just add just a little bit more blue, just right there. That will definitely give this some depth. A little bit too chromatic. Right, too chromatic. A little bit of burnt sienna will maybe calm that right down. Or that looks lovely. Pretty. Okay. All right, I'm going to change brushes, and I'll pick up my rosemary, and let's just come up with a color. I'm gonna get into that mixture I already had. I'll add a little bit of Windsor blue. Got a little bit of burnt sienna. Maybe a little bit of purple. It's kind of pretty. All right, and let's just see. Always test to the side. Test to the side. Don't start right in the middle. Let's just add just a few of these stalks. Possibly, this could have dried up a little bit, and that would be a good option too. But you know, I just love working wet into wet paint. All right. And then with some of that, let's just mix some of burnt sienna My whole idea with this is that I just really want this to kind of be diffused and push into the background. And then here, I can just use my brush and really somewhat retract some of these things. Grab some maroon. Okay, let's keep pushing on with this. We'll just see what happens. And when we're doing this, working with drier paint, choosing the right brush, one that doesn't hold too much water, will really make such a big difference. And of course, I'm not following the photo exactly as you see it. I'm just trying to understand the movement of the corn stalks that are back here. Maybe movement, a little bit of the color, really thinking about some of the values that I'm seeing. It's gonna be lighter. Get in there. Okay, I'm gonna grab some quinacridone gold, and again, taking some water off will really be helpful when working wet into wet. I think that's pretty good. All right, so I think at this point, I think it's good to take a break and maybe get some of our masking off, and then we can start working on the picket fence. Okay, so this is thoroughly dry. And now I'm going to remove the masking. So that can take me a little bit of time. Okay, so hopefully it's dry, and let's come through and clean up an area. And we'll think about the color of our fence. All right, it's fairly clean. And so when I look at the fence, I feel as though parts of it pick up some orange, possibly some red. And other parts pick up some purple. Okay, so we have orange, we have purple. Let's get a little bit more orange mixed into that. And then we need something darker, and I'm just gonna jump a little bit into my green. We'll see how that works. Not sure. Could have pulled in some sepia. That's not bad. All right. Let's just paint a few of the pickets here. And I can really see that it goes from a little bit lighter to darker. And again, just try not to start with the middle one, even though it's tempting. So let's come through and to the best of your ability, put in some color. I'll darken it with some purple. And then even go to the darkest color. And this one happens to go right down to the bottom. Right to the pumpkin. Not bad. Let me get, I think I'll pick up some sepia, and let's see if we add just a few touches here and there. Okay, I dipped into neutral tint by accident. That I did not mean to do. Okay, I'm fairly happy with that. So let's move to the next one. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more to go. What could go wrong? Let's see. Okay, this one happens to be a little lighter at the top. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that these are fully dry. Then I will put in the rails, and then I'll probably do another layer or work with these a little bit to get them a little bit more of a uniform value. So if you have any messy edges, before you start painting, just come through and clean up your edges. So let's kind of formulate a general plan. So we have some pumpkins that lean a little bit more yellow, we have some pumpkins that lean green, and we have some pumpkins that lean orange. So let's just start with our yellow ones, and maybe I'll clean up a little area. All right. I think just for starters, I'll start with a little bit of lemon yellow, watered down. And let's just go through to the little pumpkins. I don't think I have all of them that are in the reference. But let's just put what I would call a little holder. Let's just pick up a little bit of blue. I'll take a little bit of my burnt sienna with just a little bit of ultramarine blue to get something that is gray or brownish gray. Should make sure these are dry. Maybe, maybe not. And like we'll just come in and okay. All right, that's just enough to hold things. Now, let's get into our orange. So, let me just start with a basic orange wash on everything. And we can start up in, well, you know what, maybe before I do that, just so I have a little bit of a holder, I'll just into that slop add a little bit of my sepia. I'll take off some of it and just lightly, again, maybe I'll just hold a little bit of a stem, because I know me, and I will definitely paint right through these things. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And you can put in as many as you want, but I feel like that's an okay number. Now, let's come right up here. And we're just going to do a nice, light, basic wash on anything we think is orange. Just a very light wash. Let's just, while this is wet, just kind of push this a little bit and add in a little bit of a darker value. Okay, that gives it a little bit of definition, so I'm somewhat happy with that. Let's just continue. I'm just going to add a little bit of gold to this, and just to change the color up a little bit. Okay, so I think at this point, what I'll do is I'm going to try to work one pumpkin at a time. It may be easier for me to work the bigger ones first, maybe the ones that are more to the left-hand side. All right, so let's grab some orange. I just don't feel like this is the right orange. What happens if I put just a little bit? That looks better. That was just a touch of the maroon. And possibly I'll end up adding some green to it. So let's see. Let's just work, might as well work just the big guy over here. And I don't want to paint the whole thing. I'll carefully go around the other pumpkins. Let's just see, a little bit of water. It's not a bad color. I think I like that. Now let's grab a little bit of green. Let's take off a lot of water, and see what happens. We just add some green. It's kind of good. I'm thinking about it. Let's see. Okay, so I like the shape, but I do feel like that stem that we were holding here definitely needs to get much darker. So let's see what happens. Oh yeah, that's looking better. Good. Okay. I think right now I need to leave well enough alone, because I know me and I will definitely push this too far. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Let's move to a different one, because it will just be easier if I move to something that's not touching something else. So we can move to this one maybe. If I do this one, then I can do this one, and then I can move back there. So I'm just going to skip all around. Now, I'll come back to that same mixture, which I really liked. let's just get the base of this one. So we have our holder color, and I'm going to grab just a little bit of my cadmium yellow, and we'll just put this in the middle. Then we'll grab a little bit of burnt sienna. We'll put it below. Something much darker. We'll add that to the bottom. Coming through with just some water, we'll soften the top. I think I'll soften some of these colors together. So we get right to the bottom. So that to me has some really nice form. So let's jump again, and we can jump to something in the back. We're just going to keep going and going on with this. Maybe I'll paint a green one for you. I'm going to grab some of my Caroline. It's pretty dark down here. Carefully painting around. Add a little bit up here. Okay. I'm going to grab a little bit of blue. Add that near the bottom. Just soften things. Pretty. Okay. You can see if we were to add with a finer brush just some of the segments. I feel like it's good enough. Okay, so let's just continue on. Okay, so everything is dry, and I'm sure there will be a lot of good and bad surprises here. So let's see. So all the masking is off, and it's not too bad. Let's go through and just try to soften some of these edges. That's looking better. All right, it'll take me a while to get through this, but definitely well worth doing. All right, so let's just clean up. Hopefully, you've painted along with me and you've learned something. It's always good learning, no matter what. So, oh boy, need a dark color. Let's get something super dark. See if we can find a spot somewhere that's not wet. And that's not really gonna show up. We'll do our best. It's there. All right, perfect. All right, so let's take our tape off. Okay, there we have it. I love it. Thank you for watching.